like someone who doesn't know what I'm doing. It cannot be. I've been pushed from there. With security being beaten there, I've told them I'm the spokesperson for Free Kenya movement. They have told me only Bob should be inside there. Was Bob in a cell with Kalonzo? This is a mistake Wiper is making, and they will go nowhere with it.
No, Prof.
Anyway, guys, I'm not seeking your permission to say the truth. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to take this time on a lighter note, just to share some experiences, because in life there are some things that you need to go through. Of course, as a professor, we've gone through many things. For example, the first class, maybe your first conference. We've gone through series of fasts. Maybe your first girlfriend. You can even call it your first boss. You can call it your first house. You can even call it the first flight you ever took. Series of fasts. My firstborn. So there are so many things that we've gone through that brings all these things of series of fast. And because I've been mostly in academia, corporate life, I recently joined civil society, and there's a lot of urge to join the political arena. I've always just seen politicians on TV. I've seen them talking in churches. I've seen them on YouTube. I've seen them just in TikTok. But it has been, it's not been very easy that I've ever shared a podium with any politicians when I have a political interest. I've shared a podium with politicians when I'm just a listener. But this time I shared a podium when I was also supposed to speak. I was also supposed to be visible. I was also supposed to play a role in the event. So this one I want to share about came when Bob Njagi was abducted, and he was in a cell for 32 days. Not in a cell, but somewhere abducted. No, when they are abducted, they don't put in a cell. So there was a lot of issues about the day before, because we are the one planning with Free Kenya movement, with some of my friends on civil society, Gen Zs, call them, Communist Party of Kenya. We were actually this collective of 63 civil society organizations, parties, CBOs, and the rest, organizations, if you like. So we spent time trying to organize it, went to Casina, AIC to try to ensure that everything is right. Then we found out that the pastor there had been threatened by the police, and he was not able to welcome us. We went to the OCS was not ready. Then also we found wind that Kalonzo Musyoka and his comrades like Wijuni Wamalwa, Kioni, and even Jim Wanjigi was to come. So you see, when you see those big names coming, now you start wondering, can you share a podium with them? So when we were organizing this thing, some of my colleagues in this collective said that they cannot be able to attend this ceremony because it will turn out to be a ceremony of Azimio and their affiliates, rather than actually a ceremony that is for Free Kenya movement and for our collective in giving thanks on the Thanksgiving for Bob Njagi's Asley and Jamil Lonton brothers, if you like, actually disappearing for 32 days and coming back alive. So there's a lot of deliberations on whether we should attend or not. For me, because Bob Njagi has been a friend and is someone I think my heart loves, I decided to stand with him even if all this was looking cloudy. And the question was, can I be able to speak in a forum where Kalonzo Musyoka is with all these people? And of course, you understand that politics about territory protecting. So there's a lot of that protecting of territory. So when I went to Bob Njagi, we had agreed that we are going to meet the head of protocol for Kalonzo Musyoka in an hotel called Sandoff Hotel in Kitengela at 9 a.m. before the mass begins at 10 a.m. So I knew in this discussion we shall agree on how can we be able to ensure the function works conducively together, harmoniously. You know, I was having this thing like a corporate meeting whereby we can have meetings and board meetings, and everybody wants harmony. But I discovered that politics is not about harmony. Immediately we reached Kitengela. We found the Kalonzo Musyoka heads of protocol there. It was about sly, let me go to the toilet, I'm coming back, let me go have tea, give me a minute, you see, let me answer this call. So for 1 hour, there was no meeting. So I started wondering, how comes that already, we are almost at 10 o'clock, because for us, we worship time. How comes by 10 o'clock, we are not moving to church to start the mass? So all of a sudden, propaganda started coming that, the church which was supposed to go to at NIC in Kitengela, we cannot go because they are policemen. But the pastor didn't say we don't go. So I was wondering, why are we not going there? Because the pastor hasn't told us, like in Kitengela, we are not going. And there was no OCS who told us we are not going, because we are just going for mass. All of a sudden, they said, now let's do a press conference first before we can actually go for mass. So we are realizing now programs are changing, and we are now losing control of an event which was actually ours. So all of a sudden, of course, we were told Kalonzo Musyoka was going to be in that meeting from 9 a.m. He was not there. By 10 o'clock, he had not arrived. He arrived somewhere around 11:15. And when he arrived, when we were thinking it was even a moment to say hi and shake hands, security was descending on us. He was taken to another room. They denied us entry from there. They said they only want one person from Free Kenya, which was Bob Njagi. And I felt that was not fair. That wasn't nice. But of course, I understand later now that's politics. One of the security heads of Kalonzo Musyoka came and told me, Professor, whom the hell do you think you are? I've been in charge of Kalonzo Musyoka security for long. Even we used to deal with Baba, who are you? But I felt that was a little bit insulting, because Baba is a figure that you don't just mention his name in that manner. But even said that he has dealt with so many other MPs, he threw them out and nothing happens. He talked a very arrogant way. And I felt that was not a decorum way to do things. You can never tell people that you can throw an MP outside and no one cares. Not if just an MP, any human being. I felt that the securities are more rude. I think they need to be more trained. If Kalonzo Musyoka's teacher is a gentleman, the security handling him should be gentlemen. The person in charge of protocol should also be gentle, in the sense that if they say come for a meeting at 9 a.m., we shall agree on protocol, let it be. It cannot be that people are just trying to do propaganda. I felt that we could have had mass at AIC Church in Kitengela, but they wanted to twist the thing, and then later they called, one of the churches called Holy Gospel Church, Glorious Gospel Church in Kitengela. And actually we went there because actually maybe they did not want us to go to a church which we had planned. They wanted to go to a church that they are the ones who have planned to unsettle the environment so that they go to their territory. So when we went there, we found out eventually that the pastor, the bishop there, has personal relationship with him, and they really welcome him, and the protocol went his way because of that. So what I'm trying to say here is that it was a very big dramatic moment. First of all, a church service that should begin at 10, we were actually entering that church almost 1. And I was surprised that actually these people didn't pray, because when they arrived, the pastor immediately converted the church into introductions and acknowledgement of the politicians, and then he just prayed, he read a verse for 2 minutes and then preached for 3 minutes, then speeches began. And the speeches took long. Speeches took long to the point that I even wondered whether we prayed. For me, I don't think I prayed. I think I lost a Sunday. May my spiritual director and father forgive me for that. And I think God should also forgive me for not praying on Sunday, I must be honest. Because if you don't, I can't cheat God. The only person you cannot cheat is God. And I am not in a position to do that. So in the end, the speeches took longer. Bob Njagi, who was the main person, the main reason why, because I wondered if Kalonzo was supposed to pay in casinos in AIC, and for us we went to Kitengela, why did he follow us? So this event was our event. When we came to the AIC, they shifted us to this glorious gospel church in Kitengela. So why were we the main denominator? Even during the press conference, he called they had to call Bob Njagi to come in and the brother to the London brothers to come there so that their faces can be there, but the ones who spoke throughout. In church, Bob spoke for around 45 seconds, if not 1 minute. And for me, I forced myself, of course, that's what we want to discuss, forced myself strategically by standing next to Bob. The person in charge of protocol for speeches, the MC, wanted to bring me down by pulling me away. And I used my hand to tell him to relax. And eventually, thanks God, the leaders discovered that I was to be unstoppable. Because as a professor of strategy, I must also be very strategic about what I want to achieve. And I managed to speak to the church and give my message to the church. So that was the whole experience. But now, what is the real experience here that I want to talk about? I want to talk about three things. The first thing is that I discover politicians like hijacking events, just like I've told you. It was Free Kenya movement event. They came and hijacked it. They came with propaganda. Oh, the police won't address everything else, but in the end, the things went their way. So they managed to hijack the events. But what they didn't hijack was the message, because I told them very well that instead of telling us here that everybody's going to stand behind Kalonzo Musyoka and promote him, that should not be the discussion. We first need to know what is our problem. And our problem is that we're having two tribes to Ibia. The other tribe is wale ambao wanaibiwa. Na sisi ndio tunaibiwa. So we have to come together wale ambao wanaibiwa to form government. Then I asked Kalonzo Musyoka, Kioni, and the team, asked them, wao wako upande gani? Je, wako kwa upande wale ambao wanatuibia ama upande ambao wanaibiwa? Kama wako kwa upande wale ambao wanatuibia, sisi hatuna haja na wao. Lakini kama wako kwa upande wale ambao wanaibiwa kama sisi, basi tuungane pamoja, tubadilishe hii nchi. So my message could not be hijacked. The second thing I discovered about Kalonzo, because this was not theory, no story, for the first time I was next to him, I discovered Kalonzo tries very hard to be a gentleman, and I think he tries too hard. You know, when you try too hard to be a gentleman, then you'd fail to be one. Even when someone could make a speech, praise him, could say, don't worry about it. You know, I discovered when I finished my PhD, I had to be advised by my fellow professor by telling, when they call you professor, don't worry, just accept. When they say Dr. Ogola, don't tell them, oh, I'm just Fred Ogola. Because I did that for long until it was now a joke. So I just relaxed. And I found how it is my new way to get humility without trying to stop people from addressing me the way they want. And I think Kalonzo tried, like someone says, no, Kalonzo Musyoka is very clean, he's not corrupt. He said, please don't say that. When someone says Kalonzo Musyoka will be president, you like it or not, say, no, don't say that. So he was more of commanding the orchestra. A gentleman should just be you, do you, don't worry. So I think he tried too hard. First, a gentleman should keep time. Kalonzo Musyoka came there at around 11:15. So he was the last one to arrive. He was the first one to speak. Then actually he was the first one to leave. So a gentleman doesn't do that. Second thing, I think Kalonzo was under pressure on what will you going to say in the church. So eventually, Kalonzo decided to tell his head of protocol that he's the one speaking first. Is when now everybody was speaking. Is when he came now later to talk like he's now talking last. I think that if he was to talk last, he was to wait and talk last and finish his speeches. And if he was to talk fast, he was supposed to talk fast and keep quiet. But these things of manipulation by speaking fast, I'm sure he knew that his message will be diluted by other speakers. So he was rushing to speak fast. But also he was trying to give an impression that they do not know whether when we are speaking there, the policemen can invade the church and throw us away. But I think that was propaganda. So that was second. The second thing is after protocol, time management was not good. Second thing was protocol. The third thing was that I'm a leader. I think they know me because I've been in charge of leading strategic plan for Azimio. Kalonzo, Kioni, we've met on television. We've met with Wakina Njagi. I've attended even functions their place. They cannot pretend they don't know me. But I saw that when I arrived, they were ensuring that I'm being put somewhere in a corner. Someone completely cannot be seen. I was wondering why they were afraid, because if you are really gentlemen, you should even be welcoming your perceived opponent. Me, I'm not in a ballot now so far. I've not said I'm running for presidency. I've not even said I'm a party leader. Me, I'm just here fighting for Kenyans, standing for the truth, standing with the Kenyans, being on the side of Kenyans wale ambao wanaibiwa. Kama wao ndio wanatuibia wanafaa waseme. But I'm trying to say, if you are a gentleman, you should be very welcome to even accept your perceived opponents and give them a chance. The other thing is honesty. A gentleman must have some honesty in it. Ruto has lost gentlemanship because he's a liar throughout. But in as much as people may not see people like other politicians like Kalonzo to be liars, but also they lost a lot of, for me that day, I have been thinking Kalonzo is an honest person. I lost a lot from there because in his speech, he denied that he was going to do a rally in Kitengela. And this, in his speech in church, he said that, no, today we shall bequeath you. He used the word, we shall bequeath you of the tear gas in Kitengela, so we won't talk, we'll just leave church and go away. But immediately he left church, he was addressing the people in Kitengela, which means he wanted us to believe there's no rally so that we don't address the crowd, then he's the one to address them. I didn't find that honesty from him, especially making that speech in church and then not obeying what he said in church. And then also he made a press statement to the media and he said the same thing, he didn't keep it. So I find those kind of tricks, tricks of a monkey. Those are monkey tricks. Those are monkey business. And at the same time, Kalonzo cried foul of the government, hunting him, not liking him, and the rest. But when Kalonzo arrived, I saw him arriving on serious government vehicle. Actually, he had a Land Cruiser with a siren. That one only preserve of a government state officer. You know, Kalonzo Musyoka was a vice president before, so I think he's enjoying it. But I think in real sense, according to the Constitution of Kenya, you can only enjoy if you retire, because Kalonzo now is not supposed to be called vice president if he's still calling himself the Wiper Party leader. In Kenya, for the sake of decorum, he should have left those things and just become like any of us. Because, for example, if I'm running for president and Kalonzo Musyoka has that security and me, I don't have, are we on equal grounds? So you can see that he wants to try to look like he's insulting government, he's fighting government, but these people are the same. They live in the same neighborhoods, and they have the same WhatsApp group. They chat with each other on the background, but in the front end, they're fighting. And I also wondered why they were guarding territory too much. It was guarding territory like too much. There's what you call security, but there's what you call guarding territory. Even in speakers, he had to ensure that the thing goes according to his script. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing my experiences. But what I discovered in the end, that if you are on the side of God and you're the side of the truth prevails. And because I believe so far God is guiding me to be on the right side of the road. You know, when you're on the right side of the road, you don't give way to the people on the wrong side of the road. You stay on the right side of the road. Then there are people in the wrong side of the road will give you way. So because we believe this is the case, we will always stay on the right side of the road. Thank you.